Hey everybody, good evening. Welcome to The Bottom Rope here on TMSNX Radio, themajors.net. I am Adam Hernandez. We've got a nice little show lined up tonight. I'm going to be discussing a little bit about No Mercy here coming up this weekend. The Smackdown. The Raw pay-per-view, as well as some of the things that happened this past week on Smackdown concerning Jinder Mahal, which is really kind of causing a rightfully so uproar among wrestling fans and just people in general who've caught wind of what happened. I believe it was in San Jose. So. First, though, I'm going to start off tonight with just a little tribute to Bobby the Brain Heenan, who passed away this past week, as wrestling fans everywhere would know. Bobby the Heenan, though, was obviously suffering in the past several years. What was it? Was it like throat cancer or mouth cancer or something like that? It was terrible because it completely changed. And I don't want to sound completely shallow, but I can just only imagine what this guy went through on a daily basis, having to deal with this illness that he had. And it looked devastating because it totally changed his appearance. Not that that's incredibly important or anything like that. It's just one of those things that you look at and you wonder, and you're like, wow, it's just awful to see what this guy has gone through, all the surgeries and treatments and things like that, to, just realize that, Bobby Heenan just really had a tough final stretch of his life. However, Bobby Heenan will go down as one of, if not the greatest heel manager, one of the greatest heel announcers that pro wrestling has ever seen. And he is certainly, when I look back on it myself, he is certainly one of my favorites when it comes to all of that, really. When it comes to what he did in terms of managing some of these heel superstars that we saw during the 80s and the 90s, whether it be the Andre the Giants or the, who else did he manage? Mr. Perfect. I mean, it was phenomenal what he was able to do. He was able to really elevate these guys to an entirely new level, something that they couldn't do on their own. And obviously he added an entirely other level to Andre the Giant, who never really spoke on the mic to begin with. So Bobby Heenan was great. And then when he made the transition over to the booth, the broadcast booth, especially in WCW, he was phenomenal. He was absolutely phenomenal. He was, like I said, one of the best, if not the best heel personas that you will ever see, whether it be as a manager, whether it be as a broadcaster. And Corey Graves, who does the segments or the broadcast for Raw and SmackDown now, he said on Twitter, and I'm paraphrasing, that there would be no Corey Graves if there was no Bobby Heenan, and I think he's entirely correct. And you could look at a lot of different guys like that. I mean, would Jerry the King Lawler during the Attitude Era, would he be that heel announcer that he was? What about guys like Paul Heyman on the managerial side of things? I think Paul Heyman is great. I love what Paul Heyman does, and I've said it before on this show before, that Paul Heyman adds an entirely another aspect to the guys that he manages. Even with a guy like CM Punk, who was great on the mic himself, who was great in the ring himself, Paul Heyman just added that much more to CM Punk's character, and it was great. And what he was able to do with Brock Lesnar, and Brock Lesnar, as we know, already had his success in the WWE, and he had it, I believe, prior to Paul Heyman too. But now, what Paul Heyman is able to go out there and do for Brock Lesnar is remarkable. The way that he's able to be his mouthpiece is great. It just adds more to Brock Lesnar, adds more to his monster persona, and that's all thanks to a guy like Bobby Heenan, who helped pave the way for that type of character in the pro wrestling business. And I don't want to say there will never be another guy like Bobby Heenan, because I think that we have those guys right now. We have guys who are following in his footsteps and carrying on that great path that he laid for these guys. But I don't think there'll ever be a guy who did it as well as Bobby Heenan, because Bobby Heenan was great. He simply was great. And it was certainly sad to see and hear. It was sad to hear about his passing. It was certainly sad to see just all the shit that he went through later on in his life. But man, I mean, you could only appreciate what he was able to give the pro wrestling business, and I'm glad that he was there. I'm glad that he was able to do that, because he changed the pro wrestling business forever. And Bobby Heenan, like I said, one of the all-time greats, one of my favorites. I loved him. I love that type of character, simply because I'm a big Paul Heyman fan as well. But anyways, I don't want to go too far onto that, but Bobby Heenan, though, one of the greats. He's going to be missed, and thank you. From a wrestling fan, thank you for helping shape that portion of the business to, help mold it to what it is today. Moving on, though, Jinder Mahal, that segment from Smackdown this past Tuesday night, God damn, that was awful. And I don't know what it is with the WWE. I don't know whether it's their writers just simply not being able to help themselves. And I don't want to pin blame, no pun intended, on one aspect or another. I don't know if this was a Vince McMahon direction. I don't know if it was Shane McMahon. And I hate even mentioning names in all of this too, just because it was so god awful the way that the entirety of that segment went down. And again, it's what a lot of people are talking about, how Jinder Mahal went out there with the Singh brothers and gave a bigoted rant towards Shinsuke Nakamura, just making fun of his Japanese heritage, making fun of Japanese people in general. And the WWE took heat for it, and rightfully so. I feel sorry for the people that were, that this affected directly, like Japanese people, living in this country and living in Japan and all over the world. And I feel sorry for Jinder Mahal too, that he was subjected to this just cringeworthy, bigoted, mean-spirited promo that really has no room, no place, not anymore in professional wrestling. And it's kind of ironic too. I always found it ironic with the WWE and really wrestling in general, whether it's in whatever it is, FW, TNA, whatever it is they're calling themselves these days, which we'll get here in a second. Ring of Honor, the stuff of the past. I never understood why these promotions want to really kind of take the easy way out and take the racist route or the bigoted route and use promos to these magnitudes. And it's not just the racist or the bigoted routes as well, but it's the overly mean in the segments that they do, despite them running these anti-bullying campaigns. And in a segment that I can remember in particular, or a feud that I can remember in particular, I believe it was the Lay Cool feud with Mickey James when they were calling her Piggy James and shit like that. And they were running and I believe they were running the anti-bullying campaigns as well then too. And it was just so ironic that they would do something like that, knowing the audience that, especially then, which is kind of carried over now, it's more of that PG audience that they know kids are going to be watching stuff like this. They know what they're directing in large part their audience to. Now, again, there could be an argument, beyond that, saying that, oh, well, eventually the good guy is going to win and the bad guys in all of this are going to lose. Well, usually these feuds stretch out over long periods of time, and in some cases, what these kids see on a week-to-week basis is all they're going to see for the remainder of that week. And going out there and using some of that in school or on the playground, wherever, it could be a really damaging thing, obviously. And obviously this country's had its problems with bullying and cyberbullying now. And you really have to wonder, why does the WWE want to continue going on with not only these bigoted and racist segments, but these backwards and just tired old segments that were never ever good to begin with. And again, you feel sorry for Shinsuke Nakamura and other Japanese wrestlers on the roster, and Jinder Mahal and the Singh brothers, and just the Japanese fans and the fans who are entirely better than this, because Jinder Mahal has done a phenomenal job in this role that he was given that really kind of came out of nowhere. I don't think anybody was really counting on Jinder Mahal ever becoming champion, and then not only becoming champion, but having it for this long. He's been champion now for a long time, and he's won those feuds with guys who have been bigger stars in the wrestling business, like a Randy Orton. He's outlasted that, and I just, like I said, it seems like he deserves better. Jinder Mahal, that is, and the fans deserve better than this, and Nakamura deserves better than this, and it's really quite sad to see the WWE continue with this, and it's just so ironic, and like I said, it's backwards, and I'm glad that the WWE is finally seeing that now, because they've decided not to upload that segment on various social media platforms. It seems like they're distancing themselves from it. And I hope we never really see this again. I'm me, like a bunch of other fans out there, and I know the fans in San Jose were singing as well. They're chanting, "You went too far," and they're more so chanting that at the WWE creative team, because they certainly did. It's just there's no place for that, and it wasn't the first time that they did that. Even with this rivalry, I mean, they've done it before. And another one that comes to mind too that was quite cringeworthy more than anything was the Alexa Bliss Bayley "This Is Your Life" thing, which was just awful. And it seems like the WWE is good for these, still more often than you might think. Just those cringeworthy segments that you just have to kind of turn the channel on, and unfortunately, if you're there, and maybe get up from your seat, go to the bathroom, go get something to eat, and I don't know. I hope they're done with it. I hope they don't continue with that. I hope they have. And it's not like they don't have options with Jinder Mahal. I mean, he's developed himself into a nice bad guy, and there's just other directions that they can go with this, and I hope they do. So, anyways, though, interesting to to find out about this whole Global Force Wrestling thing that's going on right now. And in a press release, GFW officials have pretty much confirmed that they're going to be moving themselves away from the GFW namesake and move back to Impact Wrestling, or try to phase that back in. And this is all stemming from everything that's going on with Jeff Jarrett and them giving him that forced leave of absence, and that, which is indefinite. Nobody knows when he's coming back. And they have that. They have the Bound for Glory pay-per-view coming up, and during that press release, they made no mention of the Global Force Wrestling name, and they referred to the company outright as Impact Wrestling. And I'm reading this off from tpww.net, the People's Wrestling website.net, and they're commenting on a Dave Meltzer report that says that the GFW name is being phased out and the company is rebranding as just Impact Wrestling yet again. And this is something that GFW officials or Impact officials didn't want to do, especially considering all the name changes that they went through over the past couple of years, going from TNA to Impact to GFW. Now they're going back to Impact, and it's really kind of hard to form a good identity when you're constantly having to change names. And they're really quite an unfortunate situation right now, considering they really took on this GFW name full force here, no pun intended. Considering they went and, they were going to call that streaming service the Global Wrestling Network, and they went and they changed all of the belts as well. They put the GFW name on them, and I don't know what they're going to do. I don't know if they're going to go and change the belts again. I don't know if they're going to rebrand the streaming network that they're doing. It's not a good look for Anthem, and of course, we're starting to hear more rumors of that about them being put up for sale by Anthem, and of course, Anthem has denied this. WWE recently set out a survey to some fans asking, what they want to see. I believe on the WWE network, and one of those was a TNA tape library, and there's always been those rumors out there ever since Dixie Carter's family put the sale up on the company, that the WWE at some point would come in and buy Impact Wrestling, and they wouldn't keep it open as a wrestling entity. They would shut it down and just simply use the tape library or buy the tape library. Simply because they have a lot of former TNA wrestlers in their ranks, and a lot of former TNA wrestlers doing very, very well. Bobby Roode just made the jump. You have AJ Styles as a top star in SmackDown. You had Samoa Joe as a top star on Raw before he went down with an injury, and I assume that he's going to be propelled back up to that top star status once he makes his return. And I know they have some guys over in NXT right now that are former TNA stars. One of them is Eric Young, and I think Eric Young did a great job in TNA and Impact, and I think he's doing, and I thought he did well in NXT, and I think that, and I believe he's still in NXT, but that's just more trouble that GFW is going through right now, and what this is all telling me too, and the reason why they're rebranding is because the merger was never complete with Jeff Jarrett's old company, or the company that he started after he initially left TNA. And by the looks of it, since that merger was never made complete, it seems like, well, what I'm getting out of all of this is that Jeff Jarrett probably won't be back. Because why would they want to distance themselves from this merger if Jeff Jarrett wasn't going to be back, or if they're not on good speaking terms with each other to finish the merger? So, who knows? Who knows? It's a definitely a bad situation for them, and Look, I've said it on the last show actually that the pro wrestling world is healthier and it's better with Impact Wrestling in the mix and Impact Wrestling doing well. But I don't know. It just doesn't seem like they're able to get a good footing. It doesn't seem like Anthem is able to get a good footing. And if I had to guess, and if I had to, put out a prediction, I would say that despite them denying the rumors, I would have to think that Anthem is going to be selling Impact Wrestling sooner rather than later. And I'm going to say within the next year and a half, we're going to find that Anthem has put that wrestling entity up on the market for sale. And fans of that promotion better hope that the WWE doesn't buy it, because they will shut it down. They will take the tape library and they will shut it down. I really can't see them keeping it. I think that they're going to offer some of their wrestlers contracts, perhaps to make that jump over the WWE, whether it's the Raw brand or the Smackdown brand, or moving up through NXT. But as far as it being its own separate show, I can't see that happening. I guess maybe there's an outside chance of them using some of these wrestlers as maybe a rehash of ECW, which is something they talked about in that survey to the fans. But I don't see something like that happening. I don't see them bringing back ECW. I hope they don't bring it back, because the last incarnation of ECW that they had really was awful, and I didn't like it. And it seems like they have a good thing going right now with NXT, which kind of takes on that small promotion feel. And I just hope they continue with that, not try to do an ECW with an Impact roster or anything like that. So, anyways, I do want to get into my No Mercy preview, predictions, whatever it is you want to call it. But a lot of people are kind of slamming this card. I actually think it's pretty good, to tell you the truth. I want to see a nice. I love Finn Balor. I think he's done a phenomenal job. I'm kind of liking this feud that he has going on with Bray Wyatt. Two guys who I think have done very, very well. Both guys are good in the ring. Bray Wyatt's extremely good on the mic as well. And I think this feud has done both of them very, very well. If you want to go ahead and say who I think is going to win, I think the feud continues if Bray Wyatt wins. We had Finn Balor win their last pay-per-view match against each other. I think Bray Wyatt takes this one, setting up a kind of a rubber match for the next pay-per-view that they have. So I'm going to go ahead and say that Bray Wyatt wins this match here. Moving along to the Cruiserweight Championship match, we have Neville, who's the champion, taking on Enzo Amore. Enzo Amore, I like the move to the Cruiserweight division. I don't know. I see this feud continuing as well, simply because the Cruiserweight division has kind of been a dud from the very beginning. I like the way that they moved Enzo to this one, to the Cruiserweight division, just to give it a little bit more notoriety, especially considering they didn't have anything for him when after the fact. After Big Cass went down with his injury, I think Neville wins this match and continues the feud with Enzo Amore. Or perhaps, you know what? Now that I'm thinking about it, I'm thinking maybe Enzo gets it. I'm going to go ahead and change my prediction on that one. I think Enzo gets it. The feud continues, though, with Neville getting his rematch leading up to the next pay-per-view. So, again, this is the Cruiserweight division is such a dead division. I still think that they need to continue to improve it. I think moving Enzo to it was an improvement. I love Neville's character, though. I think this is something that he needed. And I hope they continue this feud, because I think it can really bring more attention to that division in and of itself. But they need more guys. They need bigger stars in here to help propel it, because the guys that they had in there just really wasn't doing anything. And it sucks that Austin Aries left, because I think he was a guy that could help propel it. But he left, he's gone, and these are the two best hopes right now, whether it's Neville or Enzo Amore, to help, continue continue what is going on in that division. The WWE Intercontinental Championship match, The Miz versus Jason Jordan. I think The Miz holds on to his title in this one. What's worrying me about Jason Jordan, I love his in-ring work. I think he's still a little raw, but I love it. I'm worried that he's going to be becoming the next Roman Reigns. I have a feeling that, fans are already turning on him. Fans don't like being force-fed these guys, like what they did with Jason Jordan. So I think The Miz continues to hold on to it, but I think he helps propel Jason Jordan in this match. And The Miz has been very, very good at doing that. Miz is one of those guys that's a much better heel than anything. I think The Miz is one of the best heels in the pro wrestling game today. And I love his mic work. I love his in-ring work. I love what they're doing, too, with the Miz-tourage. And I hope that he's able to kind of prop up Jason Jordan a little bit in this one. But I'm going to go ahead and take The Miz as the winner in this one, holding on to the Intercontinental Championship match, and this feud kind of continuing as well. And I believe they're going to bring more of a Kurt Angle aspect onto it as well. The Raw Women's match, look, I've been extremely disappointed with what they've been doing with the Raw women in particular, simply because there's just no direction with it. I am sick of seeing Sasha Banks in this role, in the championship picture. I think her character, much like a lot of the other male characters, whether it be a Randy Orton or a Sheamus, has been completely stale. I'm sick and tired of seeing her in the championship picture. The same is kind of being said as well for Bayley. I think her time has passed a little bit as well. I think they need to do a feud between her and Sasha Banks, kind of Sasha Banks turning on her, and I hope that's something that we see coming out of this one. I think Emma, too, can kind of be propelled better than what she actually is. I love that character that she has going on, kind of the arrogant, snotty persona that they have her work going with. And the same thing with Alexa Bliss. I would love to see Alexa Bliss develop a good championship feud with Nia Jax, who should be the champion. I mean, the way that they're portraying her, she should have been the champion a while ago, and I think she deserves it. I think she's been incredibly good in the ring. She's been okay on the mic, but I would love to see her take the championship from Alexa Bliss in this one, and those two kind of develop a feud leading into the next pay-per-view. And I think they will. I think we will have Nia Jax. I'm going to make the prediction now, and if we don't see it this time, who knows when we'll see it. I think Nia Jax wins it. I think she beats Alexa Bliss. They carry on a feud into the next pay-per-view. And then Sasha Banks and Bayley, all of a sudden, I believe, will continue a feud through, beyond this, as Sasha Banks kind of turns on Bayley a little bit. So we're supposed to see that more, which I thought was supposed to happen a while ago. It just never did. Moving on to the Raw Tag Team Championship, Seth Rollins and Dean Ambrose versus Cesaro and Sheamus. I love that they brought back Dean Ambrose and Seth Rollins. I love that they put them back together. I think they keep the titles with this after this match is all said and done. Sheamus and Cesaro, I think the tag team is okay. I think these guys are better. Well, I think Sheamus needs this tag team more so than Cesaro does. I thought Cesaro was better away from Sheamus, but in any sense, I'm going to go ahead and take Seth Rollins and Dean Ambrose as to hold on to the titles in this one. The next one, John Cena versus Roman Reigns. I've liked the lead up to this match. And Roman Reigns is really growing on me, too. I kind of like the arrogant, cocky, anti-hero type of character that he's developing here. And I think the program with John Cena is only going to help in that. Both of these guys are obviously very polarizing. And as far as the winner in this one, I think it's going to be Roman Reigns, because they're going to continue to prop him up going forward to that next WrestleMania match when he does face Brock Lesnar for the title, and he's obviously going to win it there at some point. And I think it's going to be WrestleMania. The next one, I've loved this whole thing with Braun Strowman and Brock Lesnar. Again, much like the Nia Jax situation that she's in, it seems like Braun Strowman should have had the title a while ago. This one's going to be hard to judge. I'm not quite sure what they're going to be doing with this one. I really don't know if Brock Lesnar is going to be holding on to the title all the way up until WrestleMania. I know his contract expires, I believe, the day after WrestleMania. So it only seems certain that unless he signs a new one, that I would say that Roman Reigns is going to win it then. But this one's a tough one. I'm going to go ahead and say that this is going to be kind of a bold prediction here. I'm going to say Braun Strowman wins it, but he doesn't hold on to it for that long. Because we're going to see some type of program develop here, some type of feud involving Brock Lesnar, Braun Strowman, and Samoa Joe. And I don't quite understand or know how that's going to make it or work its way into it. But bold prediction, Braun Strowman wins this one, but he doesn't hold on to it for long. I think Brock Lesnar, maybe at the next pay-per-view, goes and takes it back from him. So I think that's what we'll see in this sense. Braun Strowman winning, but not holding on to it long. And maybe perhaps we see a program happen with Samoa Joe at some point, but it just doesn't seem right for them to be building up Braun Strowman as this monster and then have him lose. I'm probably going to be wrong on this one. I know it. I'm just going to go ahead and make the bold prediction that Braun Strowman beats Brock Lesnar for the championship, and Brock Lesnar gets it back not long after at the next Raw pay-per-view. He takes it back. So, new segment, though, that we're going to be finishing out this week's show with is the Heat of the Week and the Pop of the Week. The Pop of the Week goes to Kevin Owens and that program that he has with the McMahons, namely Vince McMahon. I loved what they did at that Smackdown a couple of weeks ago, where Kevin Owens headbutted Vince McMahon and he was bleeding, and then he returned with that awesome promo. I thought during this past week's SmackDown, I think Kevin Owens is a phenomenal performer, and I hope they continue to prop him up and move him up, and it's eventually into the title picture, because I think Kevin Owens is a great character on screen. But he gets my Pop of the Week. The Heat of the Week goes to the California crowds. I thought that they were awful in LA on Raw, and I thought that they were awful in San Jose on SmackDown. And I don't know what it is. I don't know if wrestling's more of an East Coast, down south type of thing, but it just seems like the crowds are so much better out east, maybe down south, than what we've seen from California. And I'm sorry, Cali fans out there, but you guys did not show up for both of those shows last week, and it is really quite. And it sucks, because I hope that's not the general feeling amongst a lot of California fans out there, but you guys just weren't bringing it, and it was really sad to see. So, anyways, though, that's gonna do it this week for The Bottom Rope, episode 22 here on TMSNX Radio, themajors.net. Catch us on Twitter at TBRcast, and you can download this episode off of our iTunes account. Just look for TMSNX Radio. We're also on SoundCloud now, soundcloud.com/ I believe it's Empire Radio. I may be wrong on that, though. But you can find that on, you can find us here on the majors.net as well. So, anyways, Until next time, everybody, enjoy No Mercy this weekend. We'll see you next week.